Our first speaker is Mark Dimondstein. Mark is the national president of the American Postal Workers Union, which represents over 200,000 employees of the U.S. Postal Service and 1,500 employees in the private sector mailing industry. Mark began his first three-year term in November 2013 and is currently serving his fourth three-year term. He's been a leader of the National Labor Network for Ceasefire and a consistent voice for bringing war dollars home and having the basic needs of the working class take priority over the growing military-industrial complex. Mark, take it away.
Well, thank you so much. Good evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Fellow fighters for justice, co-fighters for justice, I really appreciate the opportunity to share some serious and honest thoughts with you tonight, and I'm certainly glad to be here. Obviously, some of what I'm going to talk about are the views of our union, and some of them are my personal views, and I will be sharing both. But first, let me start, since I read the email and you said you did this in May of honor of May Day. Belated happy May Day to everybody. The day of the international working class, born in the USA in the fight for the 8-hour day. So it's a good day to recognize, and it's a good time to get together. I was asked to talk about two main things. One is the attacks on the public postal service and our unions, and also why we are a supporter of the people over the Pentagon Act and the general policy of bringing the war dollars home. We do have a policy, as the American Postal Workers Union said at our convention. That's the highest authority. In 2016, we passed a resolution called Bringing the War Dollars Home. And the reason's pretty simple. It's the tax dollars of the working class and how they're used. It's workers who are asked to kill and be killed, often in the name of profit, and the multinational corporations and the military-industrial complex. So workers have a real stake in how our tax dollars are being used. The wealthy generally don't pay taxes. Tesla made $2.8 billion and paid nothing in 2023. Bezos pays about 1% on income the last time he paid taxes. And the people that I represent pay between 20 and 30%. So we pay our share, and we should have the say, and the main say, in how our tax dollars are used. And it may come as a surprise to you that I can unite with a president like Eisenhower and a 5-star general, but he put it well when he observed, and this is his quote: "Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies in a final sense a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and not clothed. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children." Just the $80 billion increase in the defense budget, as it's called, from 2022 to I think just in 2022, there was an $80 billion increase. That increase alone could pay for 873 new hire elementary school teachers, 9.5 million public housing units, and VA health care for over 5 million veterans. So, in a nutshell, that is why our union is on record to bring the war dollars home and use our hard-earned tax dollars for the betterment of society, for health care for all, for living wages for all workers, for a clean environment, for economic and social justice throughout our society. So let me get to the second point. And hats off to all of you who are involved with promoting and pushing forward the people over the Pentagon Act. And as the reconciliation budget stuff is unfolding, as we're meeting, this military budget this year will likely surpass $1 trillion. While cuts, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, while they're rampaging through government with all sorts of cuts and cutting the needs of the people. But let me first say, I'm not a veteran, but I'm glad to be here with all of you. And I was raised by a highly decorated World War II veteran father, flew 64 combat missions bombing fascist Italy. And I can share with you proudly that I was raised by a veteran for peace. While he understood that the anti-fascist war had to be fought, he opposed every intervention that this government, our government, made since that time. I was also raised by a father who, against conventional wisdom at the time, always told my two sisters and I that fascism and tyranny could happen here, that it was not unique to one country, it was not a product of one madman, and that we had to remain ever vigilant. Unfortunately, his wisdom, his insights, is here today as we are on a march of tyranny, the type of tyranny that he warned about. So I think as we discuss the attacks on the Postal Service, the workers, and our unions, which I was asked to talk about tonight, we must address it in the context of the political time and landscape that we're functioning in. We're all aware, I know everybody on this call is aware, there is a billionaire coup going on in front of our eyes. The hollowing out of government services, the attack on government unionized workers, not just the workers themselves. By the way, I was looking a few things up. 25% of federal workers are veterans. The attack on the workers, the attack on the unions, the attack on union contracts, the attack on collective bargaining rights, the attack on unions' ability to collect dues, the attack on union time is going on as we speak. With the unelected President Musk, and it doesn't matter if he's going to disappear from the news tomorrow or not, but the unelected President Musk rampaging through government, whether those are service and the services that the people need. We could start, when they talk about firing 83,000 government public servants in the VA system, that's going to deeply affect the rights of veterans and the rights that they had earned. The question of climate, the question of even weather forecasting. Somebody was talking about earlier that they're on the call in a massive storm. The attacks on FEMA. It's not that we don't need any FEMA, we need a better FEMA. They're talking about doing away cancer research, overseeing nursing home abuse, the question of safe workplaces. All of these needed governments, the question of the education department and the support for 15 million challenged children and their special needs children. All of these things are being ripped up, and it has nothing to do with Doge and Doge's claim of government efficiency. It has everything to do with ripping off the public sector, turning it into either destroying it or turning it into a private profit-making machine. Musk himself, this is not talked about enough, the richest guy, at least in the United States, maybe in the world, the largest single contributor to Donald Trump, right? He has $38 billion of known government contracts. He probably has more than that in unknown because of the military character of it. So this is naked self-dealing that's going on, not about efficiency at all. And the attack on the public postal service is tied in to this general attack on federal workers and the needs that they provide to the people of the country. So what's underway now with the Postal Service is a new thrust, probably the most serious and organized attack to destroy and privatize the public postal service. It's coming right from the White House itself, the president itself. It's coming from another billionaire, Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce. They're talking about putting the post office up on the commerce, which would be illegal, but that doesn't seem to matter in the constitutional crisis we find ourselves in, where there's no rule of law, there's no balance of legislative and executive and judicial branch. However, that balance may not have worked that well for the people over the years, but whatever was there, it's disappearing very quickly. So what's driving the attack on the public postal service? And it goes back to, simply put, and it drives a lot of the attacks that are going on public services and the public commons and the public good in general. But what's driving that is pretty simple. It is Wall Street versus Main Street. And my members get tired of hearing from me on that, but that's the way it is. What else could explain it? The people would gain nothing from turning over a public national treasure, a public institution about to celebrate its 250th anniversary this July. The people would gain nothing from privatization. In fact, they would lose. When you privatize, prices go up, services go down, workers take a beating, and that spills over into our communities, taking a beating as well. So nothing can explain it unless it's about profit. So Wall Street wants the post office, not because they want to serve the people on an equal basis every 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week now, no matter who we are and where we live, what we call the universal service obligation. It's a wonderful small d democratic right. They don't care about that. But what I tell our members now is you don't have to listen to Dimondstein about Wall Street. Wells Fargo, equity investors, put out a report on February 27th, salivating over the new possibilities, the new discussion, the serious effort of these billionaires to pick the pockets of the people and privatize the Postal Service. And so they put out a report to their investors. This is a great opportunity. And they specifically say it's a great opportunity for FedEx and UPS, the private side. They talk about how if the parcel side of the Postal Service, at least if not the whole thing, was privatized, then prices would have to go up on the package side 30 to 140%. They are thrilled about that. In fact, their subtitle is called "All Paths Lead to Better Parcel Pricing." Better parcel pricing for us and the people of the country is reasonable and fair rates. Better parcel pricing for them is how to raise the rates and make the most profit for the investors, and to hell with the people of the country. Elon Musk himself was at no other place about a month ago than a conference at JP Morgan. Last I checked, that was also Wall Street. Wells Fargo, by the way, is one of the big four along with JP Morgan. And what did he say there? He said, I, Elon Musk, am for privatizing everything. And he singled out Amtrak and the United States Postal Service. So if I'm not out of time yet, I'll speak. I want to talk about what's going on now with this reconciliation budget process in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. So the House is about to pass what the president's called a big, beautiful bill. It is big and beautiful for the wealthy. It's big and beautiful. It's going to be big and beautiful for the military-industrial complex. And it's going to be horrible for the working people of this country. The very essence of what they're trying to do, off the backs of working people, is to continue these massive tax breaks for the super wealthy, the uber wealthy, and corporate America. And to get these obscene breaks going forward, they have to attack the working class and regular folks, including veterans. And again, it's in this context where they're also coming after the Postal Service. And when they're not coming after the Postal Service directly, they're coming after the workers. For example, our current workers are now under a retirement system called the Federal Employee Retirement System, FERS. We used to be under civil service. It changed in 1984. FERS is under extreme attack. They want people to pay more, and they want people to have to work longer before they retire. And then on top of that, they want them to have hundreds of dollars less a month in their hard-earned retirement. All that is to try to make sure the Musks of the world and the Bezos of the world and these massive corporations that don't pay taxes, in fact, often get tax money back. They got to try to take it out of the hide of working people. So how do we work together? I know is the subject of your evening tonight. I think we have to work together to push back against any of these reactionary measures and then also fight forward at the same time. So we need to defend the public services, whether it's in relation to veterans, workplace safety, education, the environment, and so on. We do have to defend Medicaid. 72 million people, including many veterans, get Medicaid. Medicaid keeps rural hospitals open all over the country, who are now on the brink anyway of going under. So that's a huge area of, excuse me, of important defense. Defending education, defending voting rights. I mean, think about the attacks on voting rights can be very subtle, even though they're huge attacks. There's one executive order, or I don't even know if it's been put out there yet or not. I think it has. That women who are voting, their ID has to meet their birth certificate. Well, most women, when they get married, change names. How much more difficult is it going to be for women to vote? Defending the right to protest. The idea that Brother Khalil at Columbia, a legal permanent resident, can be really kidnapped on the street for voicing his opinion, right? We built our labor movement on the right to protest. The question of defending habeas corpus, basic democratic rights, the defense of union rights, the fight to expand those rights. All of these are areas where all of us can work together. The reality is most people in this country and most veterans in this country are working people. And so that need for solidarity wherever the fight is, and not just the defense, that's the starting point. But anytime they get away, they meaning the dictators, when they get away with kidnapping people, when they get away with defying the courts, when they get away with suing media outlets and they crumble, or suing universities and they crumble, things are just going to get worse. And so our fight back is to fight against every one of those and then fight forward. And I've been sharing with our members, and I know probably a lot of people on this call know the quote from Reverend Niemöller. But I think it's a quote that we can't say enough, and we can't think about enough, and then we can't act on it enough in these times. So I'll share it with you, because these times are indeed most unprecedented in my view, and most dangerous. And of course, Reverend Niemöller was a Lutheran pastor in Germany. He was first enamored with the rise of Hitler and the white supremacy, the Aryan race theories, the superiority of a people over another people. And by the way, when my father would say, you know, it could happen here and be careful, it never starts with death camps. It starts with the kind of things we see every day, the demeaning of people, the degrading of people, the deep divisions, right? The Haitian immigrants are eating our pets. Veterans are losers. I'm no particularly fan of the politics of John McCain, but how does a guy like Trump get away with what he did to Senator McCain and his veteran status and his history? So Reverend Niemöller was enamored, but at some point, the Nazis and the fascists came after his church, and he resisted, and for that he was arrested and imprisoned. He wasn't in a death camp. He survived. He was, I guess, in work camps, prison. But when he came out, he shared with us something that's invaluable. So I'm glad he survived. But we also have to be willing, we the people have to be willing to listen to his lesson and his lessons. And what he said was, when they came for the communists, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. And when they came for the socialists, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a socialist. And when they came for the trade unionists, I didn't speak up because I was not a trade unionist. And when they came for the Jews, I didn't speak up because I was not a Jew. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me. It's a powerful lesson. We're going to have to stand with each other. We can update that quote, right? When they came for the immigrants, I didn't speak up because I wasn't an immigrant. When they came for the transgenders, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a transgender. When they came for women's rights, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a woman. When they came for the disabled children and the disabled people, I didn't speak up because I'm not disabled and I don't have a disabled child. Where the hell is it going to end if we not just don't even, we have to start by speaking up and then standing up together and fighting forward for the kind of world we want to live in. And I tell our people, and I think it's important because I think people are rightfully worried. I think people are intimidated. I think people are scared. I think people are confused. And by the way, my own view is that part of what lays the basis for what we have is the fact that working people do not have a political home in this country and we're lost in the wilderness. And we're going to have to find our way out of that, but we're going to do it based on issues. Fighting for health care for all, fighting for good education, fighting for good living wage jobs, fighting for union rights, fighting to organize unions, to continue to build even in these times. Because I tell our members, and it's important for everybody to realize, and by the way, while we may be intimidated, people may be confused and all that, people should be angry. And we got to turn that anger into the fight back. And we're not, the time is not hopeless. It's challenging, it's unprecedented, it's dangerous, but it's not hopeless, and we are sure as hell not helpless if we figure out how to organize and fight back. There's a heck of a lot more of us than there are of them. So I appreciate the time tonight to share some honest thoughts. I hope it's food for thought, and it's an honor to be with all of you fighters for justice. And when you come to the struggle for the fight against unjust wars, what better voice is there than veterans themselves, just like my dad was. Veterans themselves that said, the wars that have to be fought are one thing, and the wars that are being fought for the profits of the multinational corporations and for the geopolitical questions of oil and transportation, no way. And the veterans' voice is so important in this fight. So hats off to you. I always think, when I think about veterans, I always think about Smedley Butler, the highest commandant of the Marine Corps, when his famous quote, he said, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers." So keep that voice going. All you justice fighters, justice veterans out here, and the people of the country need to continue to hear from you and your experiences. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be able to join you tonight with some of these thoughts. Back to you.